Hello and welcome to Jurassic Reviews. On this episode, we'll be taking a look at a new figure from X Plus. That figure is the gigantic series Deforeal Shin Godzilla, the standard version. Before we begin, here's a look at the box it comes in. This is the first time X Plus has made a Deforeal gigantic figure, having already made a normal Deforeal Shin Godzilla and a gigantic Shin Godzilla, which I do not have yet. This is the standard version. The Rick version features a light-up feature. This figure stands around 12 inches tall, and is about 12 inches long from head to tail, so it's comparable in size to many of X Plus's 30cm figures, and towers over all the Deforeals. It's also quite different looking than the regular Deforeal Shin Godzilla. So this is one creepy looking Godzilla. I mean, Shin Godzilla has always been pretty disturbing looking, but when combined with this Deforeal line and the gigantic line, it's just so weird to look at. It's also quite cool because we get this large Shin Godzilla head sculpt out of this. A larger head sculpt than anything X Plus has done before. So there's just an absolute ton of detail packed into this thing. The main thing that stands out are all of its crooked and messed up looking teeth that are scattered pretty much everywhere. The whole figure is covered in this scarred texture that looks fantastic. That pretty much goes for everything on this figure. Everywhere you look is just so loaded with detail and it's nasty looking. From its tiny little arms to its massive tail that bends upwards and back towards the front of the figure, it all looks great. I'd say the skin texture looks pretty close to what it looks like in the movie. Speaking of the tail, I just love all the different spikes and textures on it, and the weird mouth looking thing at the end is just perfect. I'd like to see how the details on this tail compares to the gigantic Shin Godzilla when I get it, because this is just awesome. This figure also includes a tail stand, but stands just fine without it. It was most likely included to help keep this tail from sagging down over time, much like the smaller stand included with the gigantic Godzilla 2019. The head sculpt, as I mentioned before, is full of detail and looks good, but I am not sure if I like it as much as the smaller Deforeal Shin Godzilla yet. Though I will say now that I have it in person, I like it a lot more than the earlier promotional pictures, and the eyes definitely look creepier on this one for some reason. Now let's move on to the paint. The majority of the figure is a really dark gray, with some red that shows up in between the scales and folds in the skin. The red also shows up a lot more at the end of the tail, and really sticks out. The toenails and fingernails are painted a yellowish brown, with some black paint on them as well. The toenails in particular look really good. Moving to the head, the teeth are painted white, but also have a little bit of yellow to them. The creepy looking eyes are painted white with black pupils. I really have no complaints with this paint job, and I kind of regret passing on the Rick because I think this would look great lit up. Maybe we'll get an atomic breath version that's painted purple in the future. I'd pick that up in a heartbeat. Before I give my rating for this figure, here's a comparison with other figures. Here it is with the 30cm Godzilla 2014. Here it is with the 25cm Godzilla 1999. Here it is with the 30cm Godzilla 1995 Rebirth version. And finally, here it is with all my other Shin Godzilla Deforeals. For a rating out of 10, I give this one a 9. I think it's a great figure, though it is really strange looking and it might not be for everyone. This is probably one of X Plus's most detailed figures out there, just because of the exaggerated features that the Deforeal line is known for. I wouldn't mind X Plus making more of these gigantic Deforeals after getting this one. It's really cool to look at and will really stick out well on the shelf. At the time of this video, there are still a few of these available out there, so if you want a Shin Godzilla figure like this, I recommend picking it up. And that does it for the X Plus Gigantic Deforeal Shin Godzilla. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching and see you next time.